try to keep it in a nutshell, and I'm still getting used to making videos, but how long can this go on? I mean, let's look at things reasonably, and everybody could do their own research. I know I have sought out truth on my own. And certain things could be measured just statistically in society, like on the stock market, for example. From what I understand, the all-cause rate mortality for people real young to people real old is up 40%. And I'll tell you what, my streets are empty. They're like empty movie sets. Very few people talk. There are no running children. Very few barking dogs. No couples. I mean, there's trace amounts of this and that. But it's almost like the town is like it used to be every day on Christmas Day, when nobody would be out, you know, and it'd be silent and there would be that emptiness in the air. Well, that's what I feel, this desolation. So, there's a 40% rise in the all-cause rate mortality in the past 5 years, since 2022 measured. And with that, you could check the statistics on birth. They're down in every country. And we know why this has happened. We know there was a technology introduced upon a people that were more or less subverted, okay? And there's mercy to be had. I mean, I was subverted at once too. I was asleep. That's when you're spiritually asleep. You're not having that connected inner dialect, and most of America is subverted. And they walked right in to this trap. I mean, and another thing, they did a census in 2019, right before COVID, here in America, a census. So they did a head count. In 2018, Event 201 they did in 2018, which was a mock trial of what they were going to launch in, early 2020, late 2019. So we have a problem here, and it reminds me a lot of, in ways, ancient Israel, in the sense of the reign of Solomon. They had a kingdom, and there was a lot to be respected about it, but their heart wasn't with God. And you had the example of David, and you had the example of Saul, and Saul was so proud, and David had to hide in caves. David had to be a dissident, and there's modern day dissidency too. So it's unique that we are living in this country where we have all of the freedoms and rights and liberties, and something like this could go on, and nothing would come from it. No accountability. And where am I going with this? Well, it's the beginning of the video. How long can this go on? It's a desolation that's, I wonder just how advanced this technology is, because of the lack of reaction, that no one seems to care, that no one wants to speak up to prevent the ongoing tyranny from occurring. And we do have power structure in place here in America, We do have, the most advanced, I guess you'd say, system as the world measures it. And it ranges from law enforcement to military to your healthcare system, to your local government, to your sheriff. We have this in place, and this has happened, and this is irrefutable. And when you're talking numbers like this that are measurable on Wall Street, it's irrefutable. So you realize that many different trades are getting a chunk of this. So many people are getting a front row seat, in the healthcare industry, of the fallout of this. And You know, many people on the inside of mortuary work have seen this. Very few have blown the whistle. But my point is, no one's talking about it. No one's trying to put it to an end. And meanwhile, the people like me, and I'm a loner. I mean, I don't have many friends, and I lost all my family, and I'm not complaining about it, but I'm on my own, and I won't get into it, but I could be given a hard time in many ways by certain folks that don't like me, and I learned to deal with that, but isn't it unique how people like me, the nobodies, we're called to see these things, to understand and interpret these things, and to raise awareness to it, and not in some egotistical way, just out of love and concern for your fellow man, that people repent, and repentance means to change your mind. And that comes with admitting you made a mistake. And my point is why this is important is so we could heal as a nation, or you could start that process. But until people come to that point of awareness where they realize they made the wrong decision, they need to change their mind. And a lot of people won't do that. And a lot of people won't speak up. So you have people that are kind of repeating the same problems of 1940s Germany. There was an issue in 1940s Germany. People were going missing. People knew what was going on. It couldn't be hidden. And people remained silent. So there's a passive form of guilt, and guilt by association, because there's a lot of people who professionally have a front row seat to this fallout. And you have people that are just wrapped up in it and have no idea. You know, ignorance is bliss type thing. And there's totally mercy on anyone who realizes they messed up. But this isn't being done. And like I said, you wonder just how advanced this technology is, that this inner dialect isn't being had, that people aren't moved to remove this technology from their towns, make sure another child never gets it again. But these things are being given as part of our cultural reality from the time you're born now. And this has to do with what was mentioned at the state dinner in Britain yesterday by the world leaders, by Donald Trump. He said, together we mapped out the human genome and we mapped out the human brain. I think it was Trump. He was sitting next to the king. So they mapped out all of creation, basically the fabric of how you exist. They know more about you than you know about you. So here we are, and this has been done. And here we are going forward with this technology, with billion-dollar investments, and sending tradesmen to one another to orchestrate the future development of economies based on this new human-based life form that is merged with technology. I guess I'm disappointed that no one but us people who, like me, I really don't have a voice. I have 13 subscribers here on YouTube. But it really is a shame that nobody has a righteous anger and love for their fellow man when they see creation, when they see children, when they see babies, and would want to put a stop to this. Because essentially, this affected the human genome forever. That's the seed of man. That's the seed of man. That's God's creation. That's the book of life. So this assault continues. And let's face it, like, people complain. Like, they go to a restaurant, they get bad service, they complain. Their car makes a certain little noise they don't like, they complain. They're real fussy, but they won't mention this. they won't mention this. And there could be a reason why that has to do with this technology. So, and this stuff blows my mind, that we live in these countries like Britain and the United States, and we are allowing the human genome to be permanently corrupted, as the Surgeon General of Florida stated. And he did an interview with Tucker Carlson, and you could look this up, that this is an all-out assault on humanity. And this man has a position in the governor's cabinet, okay? He's on file. Anybody could look this up and see it. This is a terrible evil that's been done. And this is all about controlling you through your DNA and your bioresonance, and connecting your bioresonance to a virtual computer to create a new economic control-based life form of the humanity 2.0. And they talk about this. These people aren't hiding it. And it does. It breaks my heart for my country. And I grieve with others who are grieving through this. And forgive me, I'm out in the sun, so if there's an adjustment to the lights. And this isn't about punishing people necessarily. You know, this is about correcting something so that nobody else gets hurt. And no one's corrected it. It's actually advanced. And it's being given out in pharmacies in my town. You could go, and they ask me if I wanted. They send me text messages and everything. I can't believe that unless there's some high sorcery or technological thing going on here, that people would allow this to be given out in their town and not complain, not be offended. Nothing would be done, that this wouldn't be pulled from the market. I used to work in supermarket business, and we had to pull peanut butter because it made one person sick, or we had to pull the whole shelf. Dog food, dog food at times had to be pulled because you heard in one state it was causing, So what's the matter here? And I think this is really like far out technology we're seeing here. And it has to do with quantum physics and stuff. And there's no going back from this. Even the Surgeon General of Florida said this. And so the seed of man has been corrupted. And they're doing this to the other life forms. And we are stewards of this earth. We should answer this in love and have this conversation. We should be concerned about the health of our children and their development from the cellular level out. We should have these conversations. We should want these products pulled. We should never want to hear another story of children getting sick or dying from such products, or people suddenly dying. We should be morally offended. But you see, and this is going on in more than just America, bread and circuses is going on as the empire falls. And back to the beginning, how far does it have to fall before people? I mean, my streets are so empty in my town. You swear, it's like when they do a documentary on North Korea and they go into town and everything's taken care of, but there's no people. It's creepy. I walk the dog every day. So, and there are other, like there's an old timer in town here that notices this and brings it up, but he's the only one. So those are my thoughts. And vengeance is God's. This isn't about retaliation, and this isn't about really he said, or this really isn't even about blame. This has to first start with an act of love, of like actively changing your mind. You couldn't do that unless you had a contrast in order to observe, and I think we have a big enough contrast that anybody wrapped up in this would want to, come before the Maker and ask for help and guidance in getting out of the position they're in, and asking as to where they could help their community deal with this. So those are my basic thoughts. I'm out on the patio. To my 13 subscribers, I love you. I try to say all of this in love, and we live in a state that is much like 40s Germany. Before I go, we have people in this country, we have people that have been speaking out about gang stalking and cyber bullying and harassment and electronic harassment, and this technology is built in all around us. You know, that's how dissidents are dealt with, and people who do not fall into place could be wirelessly harassed. This is the reality we live in, and this is the weaponry that's around us. It all has to do with spirituality, your electrical essence through your DNA out that forms your auric field. The auric field is literally like an electronic system, and if you've mapped it, which they have, you could tamper with it very easily. And I thought it was ironic they would bring that up at the state dinner last night. So they've mapped out all of that. They're at the peak of knowledge and wisdom, just like Saul, right? And I'm like David hiding in the cave. I really don't have any friends, and I hang out with my basset hound. I'm 48. And I'm content. I have a relationship with God. I'm totally content, not complaining. So, those are my thoughts for the day. This is a new season where I find myself having a conversation. Why not have a conversation? You know? So, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.